I'm Tandy Gutierrez, and this is our next episode of Chat on the Mat. I've been inviting subscribers onto the mat to come talk to me so that we could introduce them to you. It's nice to know who's actually doing the workouts or eating the food that we talk about on M&K Kitchen. So you've definitely seen the ladies on the mat already, and if you haven't, you can check back at those earlier episodes. But I thought it was really important to get a few men on the mat. Okay? So I think there is a huge misconception in the fitness industry and in Pilates still, which to me is a little bit unbelievable, that Pilates is either only just for women or for dancers or for those who have been injured, that it's sleepy and it's only stretchy, and that it's just not, I'm not a Pilates person and I'm a dude, so it's totally not for me. So I thought it was very important for you all to meet some of the men on the mat. I want to give a tiny bit of history to Pilates first, because again, I find it shocking that men are not more open or aware of the Pilates format for them as a fitness solution or a wellness solution. It was created by Joseph Pilates somewhere around 1912. The year is a bit murky and not overly
I love a history lesson.
Nailed down. And so he was a nurse in World War I.
I didn't know that.
Right? I know you're learning all kinds of things today. And he created Pilates as a rehab program for military men. The goal was to get them back on the field faster. A lot of Secret Service agents, so it makes you a spy.
I like that part.
And if you've ever seen any of the Pilates equipment in the studio, why it looks like traction and why it looks like a hospital bed is because it was. So he took what he had, used the knowledge of traction and creating space in between joints and ligaments and tendons, and then the idea was to heal those things in a more solid, stable position with space to the joints. So
James Bond uses it a lot.
I've heard that.
Spy
Yeah.
does a lot of things.
So this is how I used to lure the men into the Pilates studio, was to let them know it would make them secret agents.
I like that.
Just so you know. So it inherently was created for men by a man. Where are my men on the mat? They're right here.
Right here.
So here we go. One was a little bit of easy pickings. It's my husband. Okay. The other is a friend and a husband of now friend. And I will say this, many of the men end up on the mat because their significant others start here.
Myself included.
And yes, there's a lot of women on the mat. I'm a woman, so your audience tends to be, you know, like you, and I'm a mom. But those who are actually on the mat with me, very diverse across the world and crossing genders. So there you go.
All right.
Mateo,
Yes.
will you introduce yourself?
I will. My name is Mateo. I'm 47 years old, and I've been on the mat, I would say off and on, for about 2 years. But I got really serious about it in the last year, and in particular in the last 6 months, really getting really consistent about it. So it's been about a couple years that I've been, I would say in the first year I was sort of flirting with it, off and on. I realized the value of it. Some things happened, which I'll discuss in a minute, and then I got more consistent about it within the last year.
And I want to add a little history
Yeah.
to it too, because I think everybody goes, it's your husband, he must be super fit, and he trains with you, and you know, like you taking some lessons. But the reality is that my schedule
Flabby mess.
I'm a flabby mess.
was busy, and your schedule was busy, and trying to get to a class that I taught before we launched M&K Kitchen was challenging, and it was a silly thing.
I didn't actually know what you did. I mean, you were teaching Pilates, and I knew that you were exceptionally popular. I knew you were very respected.
Truth comes out.
Well, yes, it does. And then we started this company, and I actually was able to see the workouts on a consistent basis and start to do them, and that's when I really started to appreciate them.
So M&K Kitchen only exists really because of him, by the way.
That is not true.
It was his idea.
Well, okay. The online part was my idea.
But
This is why it
no,
happens.
here we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came to M&K. I mean, we created it.
Oh yeah, I came to M&K because obviously we started the company, and you know, by default I was involved in seeing the workouts and decided that I had to try them, obviously, and once I started doing them I became addicted to them, honestly. That's how it happened.
And Irfan, will you introduce yourself?
I will. I am Irfan. I am 40 years old, and I'm an ER doc here in Austin. And I've been on the mat for, I think, also about 2 years or so. And I came to it also because of my spouse. She
is a good woman.
She is a good woman. She's a very good woman. So she beckoned me to the mat repeatedly, and I repeatedly sort of said no thank you.
Because it's for ladies.
I maybe that was part of it, but there's something about completely changing what you know to be your workout and your fitness regimen. You know, so there was some stubbornness there, but it definitely this is basically what I do for fitness now. Yeah.
This is very cool. Did you tell your age earlier?
I did. I'm 47, and my career is I work in the tech industry.
So when you were watching the videos as we, build this company, and you're thinking, I should probably do these, tell us why you really thought you should probably do these.
Well, I had the same reservations I think that you had. So for me, working out was no pain, no gain. It was you go into the gym, you do that upper body male workout, you beat yourself up, you do the cardio until you're, sweating and just completely, wiped out. So when I saw the workouts, I thought that they would be physiologically good for me because I knew you and I knew the results that you got with people, and you had talked at considerable length with me about helping people with body elements and those types of things. So I knew that they were intelligent and good workouts, but I didn't understand the idea of body awareness, which is really what it taught me, which was instead of going in and beating yourself up, being really aware of how all of your body functions and works, and that kind of elevates your workout so that you don't have to beat yourself up. And that's what it really taught me.
Yeah, it was a very similar experience with me. Like, I was that guy in my 20s who was building his upper body and was all about getting big and strong, and then I found myself in my 30s with lower back pain and no flexibility whatsoever. So this is definitely a way to strengthen myself, and I feel stronger. And that's the thing that really surprised me after doing this for a while. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna feel stronger. Like,
right?
This is strength. Like,
Exactly.
But I feel stronger. Like, this just feels stronger, and that really actually does wonders throughout the day. Posture and just I'm so aware of, like you said, aware of my body in a different way.
And my aha moment was I had a back injury. My first real serious back injury in the gym was probably in my early 30s, and like I said, I'm 47, and that took months to repair itself. Months. And I actually didn't go to a doctor like an idiot. I just muscled my way through it, and that took months.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then it happened again a few years later, and then it happened quite recently within the last couple
and
of
the
years.
few years later that it happened, I was present for.
You
and
were present
did
for it.
Go to the chiropractor,
I did.
and there was a lot of like assistance, but still a lot of stubbornness. And I think there
Correct.
was a wifey component of like, hey, I could help. We might not have this happen again. But just so you all are clear, this component is very different from trainer-client component, and so it's
It is, yeah.
it's really hard, and you love somebody and you want to help them, but you're not their trainer, and that kind of advice and help is really not usually very helpful. And so you were going to a chiropractor, which was awesome, and you were like, okay, cool. I'm hands off, but I'm going to mention maybe this would be helpful for you, even if you don't take from me. And that kind of meh. And then years later,
recently, within the last year and a half, I had another back injury because I wasn't doing M&K consistently, A. B, I was still going into the gym and doing those hoorah kind of workouts. But what was fascinating this time is that I got with myself, I got quiet, I got on the mat, I got into M&K, and I started to really figure out what was going wrong.
But daily, and I mean daily, like
Daily.
4 times a week, not like 7, but consistently.
Consistently.
And I stayed out of it. He works out with an iPad.
I have
not
an iPad, I
with me.
go into a room, I do the workouts just like a client. But it was amazing because I actually, for the first time, that was my aha moment of going, wait a minute, I'm completely aware at a different level of what's going on here and I can fix this. And then really quickly, what I want to add to that is now my workouts, since that sort of aha moment and doing it more consistently, are much better. Like, I don't have to go in and kill I still do like to go to the gym. I'm, full disclosure.
Yeah.
I like to go to the gym. I still like to do cardio. I like to lift a little bit. But it's so much more intelligent and effective now, and I don't feel the risk of injury at all.
Do you
anymore.
feel, okay, so we didn't talk about this beforehand. Do you feel more fit now at this age and stage in your life than you have in prior ages and
Yeah.
stages? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do too.
Yeah.
No question
I
about it.
do. And like I said, it's a different kind of. I've always been a pretty fit guy, but this is definitely a different kind of fitness that I haven't experienced before.
Exactly.
And this is the thing too. So like my private clients, what I taught were usually men because I was teaching on the lifting floor too as a personal trainer. So my background is in lifting, and we can talk about that later. That you don't have to throw all of that out. That it can still very much be a part. And originally when I started training, all of my clients were 30 minutes on the lifting floor, 30 minutes in the Pilates studio, and most of the men came in because they had a low back injury, and that was my way to lure them in. Like, I can help.
We're still playing with weight.
Totally! We're still doing heavy things. But how that information plays into the workout when you go back to lift again, if you want to. Like, the
It's more
Pilates
enjoyable now.
makes everything better in this crazy way. And I have to say that, again, I would kind of wait until I saw injuries in people I'd been talking to for months when I worked in a fitness facility, because the minute they had a low back thing, I'd be like, come on in. Because they knew enough to stay off the lifting floor, but they didn't know how to get back to the lifting floor either. And so for the men in my life, it was always a matter of when that was going to happen, because the core strength wasn't there, so it's going to dump into your low back because you guys love to do upper body things because you want the gun show. And then now that you've been on the mat and you go, here's how my core connects, here's how it connects to everything else, how does that influence lifting?
Yep.
Or resistance training or cross training. So you also picked up another sport, right?
Right. So also in my 30s, I started to try to play golf. I'll say try because I'm still a crappy golfer, but I think I started playing golf probably 3 or 4 years before I got on the mat, and the before and after is completely different. For the golfers out there, it's all core. There's really no upper
And
body
rotation.
and rotation, exactly.
Yeah.
Rotation and flexibility. So the before and after to my golf game is just tremendous. Like I said, it's like a lot of work to do, but it's actually, when you're playing golf, it's actually all Pilates, and I'm actually thinking of Tandy, which is crazy, but just being aware of what your body is doing and what parts are anchoring you and what parts are actually doing the big part of the work. It's the bigger muscles. So yeah, completely changed my golf.
Which is really cool. And again, like kind of hallmarks of adding Pilates into the things you already love to do, tennis, golf, for runners. Like, it starts to sound like magic, like I'm full of what, because it's like, it makes everything better. It's like fairy dust. But really, for elite athletes, it's always been this little secret, back pocket weapon. And which cracks me up. So I've trained a lot of elite athletes and professional athletes, and nobody wants to tell anybody that they're doing Pilates,
Right.
except for Tiger Woods in his heyday. That was like a hallmark of
Well, yeah, all
things.
the elite athletes. And you look at if you look at the smaller athletes, their core strength is ridiculous,
Right.
like off the chart.
Yep.
So yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that's where your power comes from. So we know how it works. It transitioned. It comes into our lives in sneaky ways, and then you start to learn more things about it, and you go, oh, okay, this is really going to work for me. But it fills, what need does it fill now? So it's like you kind of hear, like, I should probably do this for body awareness and really start to take care of myself in a different way. And there was an injury and a little bit similar with you, but what does it fill now past the injury point?
Past the injury point, well, to me it's preventative, which is still very important. So I'm not repairing an injury, but I know that I'm taking care of myself in a way that the likelihood of an injury goes down dramatically. Functionally, I have 2 children who are I have 3 children, 2 are small. Picking them up, moving them around, picking up bags, picking up stuff. Functionally, it's very nice to know that I am able to do all of those things without worry if suddenly my back's going to be out.
Yeah.
I have had a recurring shoulder injury, which is all but repaired at this point. But it also fits into my schedule, which is really nice. So if I don't have time to get to the gym, which our schedule, we're busy. We're running a company.
And it changes every hour.
It changes every hour, or one night the kid's throwing up all night, and you're not going to get up and go to the gym at 5 in the morning. So M&K is always there. So I can always go into a room, get an iPad, get on the mat, and feel connected and feel like I've gotten the workout in that I
And
need to
you've
get.
taken it and done it on your phone, like at
I've taken it on my phone and done it at the gym too. Yeah. If I want to get out of the house and still have that feeling that I'm making a separation, I can do that. So it works great.
Nice.
Okay. And for you, like what does it fill? Now that you're past the point of cajoling and you understand that
Right.
connection, you're like, okay, so why does it continue
Now I'm
to
actually
work?
cajoling her onto the mat.
Are you?
Pilates or what?
What's
Yeah. No, it's like you said, it is definitely prevention. Like if I start to feel things, like in my back, in my hips, aches and stuff like that creeping up, then that usually means I haven't been on the mat for a few days. So it's definitely preventive. It fills my workout quotient, especially on days that, like I said, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have, my schedule's erratic. I work, evenings and mornings and everything in between.
Well, and you said you just had a 24-hour shift, so it's
So
like,
on this last shift that I worked yesterday, we have a little call room, so I moved everything aside and threw some sheets on the floor and put on Tandy and did my workout in between
I want pictures
patients.
of that.
Yeah, I was actually gonna take that.
You totally fit.
So schedule-wise, it's great. It's 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Like I
Exactly.
used to think that I needed to go to the gym for hour 15, hour 30 minutes, no. 30 minutes and I feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And it's progressive, which is strange too. I never noticed that until I started doing it for a while. You start to go, holy crap, I can do these things I couldn't do 3 months ago.
Yeah, and it's really sneaky.
It's sneaky, and the thing that's amazing is I get older, and it's not just for people that are, over 40, but what is really nice about being over 40 and doing these workouts is I'm getting flexibility back that I'm not sure I even had it in my early 30s.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Well, it is crazy because, and again, like I've been training and coaching people for 15 years now, and so, and again, people think I have to be flexible to do Pilates, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, I would have no job
Get
if
flexible.
everybody was
Yeah.
flexible. The whole goal is to become more flexible, but I think because people's ideas and concepts is to stand and touch your toe, that, and it's never changed, that they don't understand a quality of training that actually does coach you into, progress in this really sneaky way. And like you said, and you said earlier too, that you couldn't sit like this before for extended periods of time.
this would be
And, like,
impossible.
I'd be
Yeah.
too.
I'd
I would be sitting here in pain right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's those little tiny functional things you're like, I couldn't do that before, or my foot would fall asleep, or my hip would be weird, when you try to get up, or you'd drive, for extended periods of time and you're like, ooh, my back's a little crabby, and you'd wait for it to go out, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you'd feel
Oh,
it
yeah.
and you go, oh, and now you feel that and you go, I need to go get on the mat, and it kind of sweeps the gunk
Yep.
out a
Yeah.
little bit.
One other little thing
Yeah.
to bring up that's really cool that we often, you and I have discussed this, but I've experienced it, I'm talking from my customer brain here,
Yeah.
is you're not there when I'm doing the workouts.
No.
I have an iPad, just so everybody knows, Tandy doesn't come in and go, okay, let's do our workout. I get my iPad out, no really, and I turn it on. here's what's amazing about that is I can't ask you questions. I've been with the trainer before, and I can say, stop, what does this mean, what does that mean? And it turns into this back and forth, and then I'm just sort of listening to them, and they're telling me what to do, and I sort of, when it's on an iPad, I have to start to figure it out myself, which is really powerful, which means I've got to really actually get honest with my workouts and go, am I doing this the right way? I can pause it, I can think about it, but it's really about, I keep going back to this phrase, it's about self-awareness, and that's what I think they teach.
Well, there's a couple different levels that we can chat for just a second. I'll try to keep it short. Of when you hire, this is gonna, there's a lot of people who are not gonna like what I'm getting ready to say. And even myself, I go, oh, I'm kind of like selling myself out. So I had clients, for years at a time in the studio, and they're paying me, $90 to $200 an hour for their sessions. When I first started, lessons were $45, an hour. So we're talking a serious investment in their health and their fitness, and they're coming into the studio and they're getting this one-on-one, tangible, training that we build this and say, you need me. Okay, well you do need a coach. I'm sorry, but you do, unless this is what you're studying and what you're great at. And even teachers need teachers, because we need somebody to guide us. Can't see your own body. So for years I had people coming into the studio paying these rates in a private situation, and what ends up happening, you see them 2 to 4 times a week, they're paying you this money, it becomes social hour. There's a lot of chit chat, even with the best coach. And I used to get to a place of like, okay, I'd watch the clock and go, they have 30 minutes left. I'm going to rock this 30 minutes because I have, these issues of they're paying me this amount of money. I better give them something that's worth that. So before we created M&K Kitchen, I had that aha of like, number one, I've personally been doing 30-minute workouts forever, because when you coach and train people, you have no time. You still have to figure out how to eat and work out. So I was only really doing 30-minute workouts consistently. Then you have your chit chat members who, that's their social hour. And
it's hyper efficient.
Yeah, and so it's like.
I also like the fact that you're not there, because I'm calling you some really.
Exactly. I'm like, I cannot do that.
I can still hear you in the universe. Well, squats, I know what everybody's thinking. But yeah, so I think it's funny because we launched this, and as a trainer and as a coach, I went, is this going to work? Like, our body's really going to change?
No, it's hyper efficient.
Didn't really know if that was going to happen or not. And it happened faster because of this. You have to take the ownership, and because you're creating a self-practice and that you're listening. But you can't ask questions and interrupt it and derail the train. You just have to.
And you've got to figure it out yourself. Yep.
But you can come back and email me if and when you need to. So there's still a resource, but there's a different experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to add?
I mean, in that regard as well, I think Tandy does a good job of, during those 30 minutes, she does sort of. There is some explanation going through it as to sort of what you're engaging and how to engage. Like, that was one of the things, like, I'm constantly heard, down in your armpits and these things that Tandy was saying. I'm like, what is she talking about? But when it clicks, like, you're like, oh, like, yes, that feels stronger, or that feels, that feels like posture that I should have. The figuring it out on your own, you definitely have to do that, sprinkled in with what she's telling you throughout the workout.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Did you want to talk a little bit about being in the kitchen, not just being on the mat?
I could talk about that quite a bit. I'll just say a little bit, since it is,
So mat and kitchen, like, there's a mat component and a kitchen component, and not everybody does both. Some people just come in for the workouts. Some people just come in for the food. Most people, eventually wean into both, but it's not a have to. They're offerings. They're, my wheelhouse of teaching. So I want you all to have access to what I'm good at. That doesn't mean you have to take all the pieces. So Irfan, like you were saying, you're like, I haven't gotten there yet. I would like to. They're just not there yet. Totally cool. You, on the other hand.
I have done some of the food. Obviously I live with you, so I'm aware of all of the benefits and all of the process that you put in place for customers, and the batch cooking and the type of food. I would say, to me, what I love about M&K Kitchen, and I'm not talking as a business person or a co-founder here, I'm talking genuinely, is that it matches these two pieces, which is the physical side with the food side. And when you bring those two together, it's incredibly powerful. It's you know, it really will change. And it's not about getting ripped, and it's not about just getting lean, and it's not about how you look. It's about a quality of life. And so, I mean, I could speak for hours about the customer feedback that we get and that we see, and the life changes that we see, especially for people with food issues. But for me personally, I would say the single greatest transition from a food perspective for me has been to really just love the simplicity of real food, which sounds so silly, and it sounds so like, well, gee, obviously, but it's a big transition.
No, that's a big like phrase out of your mouth too.
But it is. It's to get away, to realize that, you know, it's as simple as fruits and vegetables and things that come from the ground, and that's delicious, and it's easy, and it's just fundamental to who we are. It's not scary. It's not complicated. There's no crazy science behind it. It's actually very simple. And when you grasp that and you own that, the transitions are much faster. So, I mean, like I said, I could talk about it forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's been lost, especially in this country.
It has.
What,
Yeah.
What
It has.
we put in our bodies, and we're not conscious of what we put in our bodies, and we're putting all this crap in our bodies on a regular basis. We don't know where it's coming from.
Well, and
what
you're
it is.
seeing it on the
Exactly.
other end. I mean, you're
Absolutely. I
in
see
the
the
ER, but
consequences
you
of
see
every day.
consequences, and then you may see repetitive consequences,
Absolutely.
and like how to navigate and how to create a wellness, you know, that it does. It sounds really complicated on the outside, and I think as a culture, this is what I said. So I didn't cook 4 years ago. I was terrified. I burned everything. I had, you know, gut issues, so food was a little weird. But I'd never been taught to cook. I had a grandmother who taught me how to bake, you know, but that was it. And so that wasn't helping things. And so then you're terrified, and then you grow up in this culture now with the food shows, you know, and the foodies, and everybody's a chef, and it's got to be fancy, and that's awesome. I mean, this is an incredible talent,
It's fun stuff.
and it's
Nothing
really
wrong with
fun,
it,
but
yeah.
it is entertainment. It's not nourishment. So I do feel like Matt and Kitchen, you know, people freak out with the reset, and I go, it's just farm food.
Well,
It's
yeah.
roast chicken and root veggies and like greens. Like if you can pull it and, you know where it was roaming and grown, then at least try that.
It's fascinating because it's perceived as deprivation initially, I think, by a lot of people. When you start to talk about food, and it's the exact opposite. It's perceived as deprivation, but then when you get into it, you realize it's the exact opposite. You're actually beginning to appreciate real whole foods. It's a completely different, it's a paradigm shift.
It's a complete paradigm shift,
Yeah.
and again, we should do a whole other one on
We should.
that. And like let everybody put their professional hats on in it. So, thank you for getting on the mat with me today.
It's my pleasure.
Anytime.
Thank you for being my man on Met.
Okay.
And if you all have any questions about anything, you can always post or email me. But these are our men on the mat, a few of them. So we will see you next time. Thanks.